Welcome back, students. Today we're going to talk about adulthood, living old, and death. Adulthood. There are three stages of adulthood, and you should probably know the social, cognitive, and physical changes that occur during each of these stages. The first stage is from age 20 to age 40. That's young adulthood. The second stage, middle adulthood, is from age 40 to 60. And the third stage of adulthood is late adulthood, which is from age 60 onward. Studying change in relation to age. So there's two ways that we can do this. One's called a longitudinal study, where we study one group of individuals over a long period of time. And then the second is a cross-sectional study, where we look at different groups and we separate them by age. That's the most common one, but you could really separate them by anything, socioeconomic status, whatever. But for the purposes of this class, or this topic specifically, we're looking at it development as compared to age or over a long period of time. Young adults. So this is Erickson's intimacy stage. There is a 5-to-1 ratio of marriage and divorce, so kind of high. Social clock pressures occur, meaning that you realize you only have so much free time, and so you become more selective about with the activities and the people that you do things with. You're also at the peak of your physical abilities. You are the strongest you're ever going to be. Your heart is the strongest it will ever be. Your reaction time's good. Your sensitivity to sensory information is still pretty good. Like, so your hearing is good. Your vision is good. In your mid-20s, that's when things start to decline. And then you're also in the post-formal thought stage. So post-formal thought is a theoretical addition to Piaget's stage. So the post-formal thought is an additional stage according to Piaget's theory. So it comes after formal thought, where basically you realize that not all questions have answers, or they're not just that simple. Middle adulthood. In middle adulthood, this is Erickson's generativity versus stagnation theory. Midlife crises tend to happen during this stage. Your strength and endurance is really dependent on the lifestyle you've had up to that point. So this is more so than any other stage. This is the end of your reproductive years. If you're a woman, we're talking about menopause. So when the last egg is released during ovulation, menopause begins. So levels of estrogen and progesterone tend to go down. This can lead to mood swings, obviously infertility. But many women find this after they get over the initial stages of the initial like hormonal imbalances and things like that. They find it to be very liberating because they don't have to worry about pregnancy anymore. In late adulthood is Erickson's integrity stage. So we tend to retain our positive memories, our mood stabilizes, but it's further decline in sensory abilities, reaction time, and processing speed, also known as fluid intelligence. So remember, crystallized intelligence continues to increase as you get older, whereas fluid intelligence starts to decline in young adulthood. Changes in memory. So there's a decline in the following. So rote memory, perspective memory, and your ability to learn new skills declines. That doesn't mean that you can't, it just means it takes more effort, which when it's more frustrating, people tend to just give up. Alzheimer's disease. The older you get, the greater the chance for Alzheimer's disease onset. Alzheimer's disease is a type of dementia, so there's multiple types of dementia. And really, Alzheimer's disease is a deterioration of your neural connections. So symptoms of dementia, a decreased ability to recall recent events and names, objects, people, emotional unpredictability, confusion, disorientation, inability to think or communicate. And then gradually, the way I like to describe it is like you really with Alzheimer's disease or cognitive decline specifically, the most recent things are what goes first, and then your core memories eventually at the end. And then eventually it gets into your implicit processes. So things like how to eat, how to brush your hair, or the fact that you should brush your hair, feeling full. And eventually your body will eventually just stop. It stops remembering how to breathe or things like that. It's a really sad condition. Living old. So with a lower infant mortality rate and a longer lifespan, we have a growing population of the elderly. It's important to note that your telomeres, these are the ends of your chromosomes, they start to wear down with every generation, meaning like your cells reproduce, they duplicate, and each time the telomeres become more and more frayed. Kind of like if you took a pair of jeans and you wash them over and over, the ends become more and more frayed. Your genetics or your chromosomes are kind of the same way. So this can makes it so that minor injuries take longer to heal. Your immune system wears down too, so major illnesses can be much more life-threatening, more severe. If you have years of building up antibodies, you tend to do a little bit better with major or with minor illnesses. And the older you get, the greater the chance of dying, I guess is the only other way to say that. And when we talk about grief, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross has a theory of the stages of death, of grieving, basically. So we're going to watch that now. Changes in the brain with age. So the myelin enhanced neural processing, you're at your peak in your teen years, but regions of the brain related to memory start to shrink as the older you get, making it harder to form new memories. The frontal lobes start to atrophy, leading to decreased inhibition and self-control. And by age 80, a healthy brain is 5% lighter than it was in middle adulthood. So individual responses to death vary. Grief is more intense when death occurs unexpectedly, especially if also too early on the social clock, so when a person dies young. There's no standard pattern for or length of a grieving process, and having a support group or having people to rely on tends to help with this process. So I want to finish today by watching what's called The Last Lecture. The last lecture was was given by a guy named Randy Pausch when he found out that he only had a few months left to live. So he's imparting all of his wisdom on you. If you don't want to watch all this, you don't have to, but it is a pretty powerful video. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all I have for you today. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a fantastic day.